Why vote for Republicans if they're going to act like Democrats? Here in Texas, the Republican leadership wants to raise your taxes, and they don't really care about your constitutional rights. We're going to talk about that today on the radio. And as always, this podcast is brought to you free of charge by the good people at AthenaGunClub.com.
This is Pursuit of Happiness Radio.
As we all know, there is a downside to freedom of speech.
Pursuit of Happiness Radio.
In America, you have a right to be stupid.
Pursuit of Happiness Radio.
This is America, and in America, if something sucks, you're supposed to be able to get your money back.
Right on the radio. This is Pursuit of Happiness Radio. Right on the radio.
We're on. Greetings, folks. You know, Chris, you got to hand it to short people because they can't reach it on their own. Thanks for connecting today to Pursuit of Happiness Radio. All of you watching me on Facebook Live, all of you listening live on terrestrial radio, and, of course, everybody connected on iHeartRadio. There's a lot going on the show today. First, let's go ahead and shine a light, a magnifying glass, on what the Texas Republican Party leadership is doing right now. There's a lot of people listening to this radio show today who vote Republican. Some of you are libertarian, many of you are independent, but even still, there's plenty of people out there that own a red MAGA hat. They have supported the Republican Party for life, or maybe they're just people that recently got into supporting the Republican Party, not unlike myself, during the Trump era. I've been a fiscal conservative my whole life. I have always supported individual rights and liberties and reducing the size of government, but I was never really a big fan of the Republican Party until a few years ago, right before the era of Trump started. It was really, I mean, honestly, if I'm being completely honest, it was really Rand Paul, Mike Lee, and Ted Cruz who made me into a Republican. Here in Houston, Texas, we have a great community of young, liberty-minded Republicans. The Houston Young Republicans group here in Houston, Texas, fantastic group. Young Americans for Liberty, brilliant people, lots of really cool people. Mike and Matt and all the other guys out there. Hopefully you guys are tuned in today. I appreciate all you guys supporting the show. Well, we have been forsaken. We got sold out, folks. We've been bamboozled. We've been hoodwinked. We got thrown under the bus, so to speak. Texas's top three political leaders: Greg Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and House Speaker Dennis Bonnen. Oh, Dennis, you've been getting a lot of airtime on this show this week. Weird that he won't return my emails. I guess it's not that weird. There's also some local reps from here in the city that won't return my emails either. What is it with you guys? You understand, the people that listen to the show and call into the show are the people that elected you. Why are you trying to avoid us? What is the point of voting for Republicans if they're going to act like Democrats? Hang on, before you change the channel, hear me out. Here's what happened. These people have this idea. They said, oh, property taxes are high. What if we could lower property taxes? Yeah, I'm listening. By raising sales taxes. Dude, no. Come on, Dan Patrick and Governor Abbott. Seriously? Lawmakers are agreeing to limit future local property tax increases, but only if they can raise the sales tax from 6.25% to 7.25%. I'm not going to bore you with numbers. We're not going to get into a long-winded speech today about how much money we have and how much we could be bringing in. Anytime you're asking me, should the government raise taxes, before you even tell me what kind, the answer is no. I don't need the government to raise my taxes. I don't need more services from them. Texas is one of the only states in the union that has a surplus, Chris. We've got one. Florida's got one. A few other states. Not a lot. States like California, they are bleeding right now. They are drowning in debt. And they love to spend money. Well, the Republican Party is starting to act like the Democrats. What's the point in supporting these guys? Seriously. This proposal, they're saying we're going to raise the sales tax from 6.25 to 7.25. If you're a Republican voter, if you're a guy that elected any of these people, if you voted for Dennis Bonnen, Dan Patrick, or Greg Abbott, here's a serious question for you, Houston, Texas, 713-212-5950. Are you okay with them doing this?
Pursuit of Happiness Radio.
We're back. We're the backiest. 713-212-5950. If you like liberty and freedom and less government, Dan Patrick, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, not your friend. There's a Texas bill right now that seeks to decriminalize possession of small amounts of marijuana. It's currently being debated in Austin. The bill was rejected by lawmakers. I wonder why. And it's now being substantially rewritten in an effort to increase its chances of becoming a law. You may have seen somewhere that Texas House Bill 63 passed in the House. Technically, that's true. What this would do is remove the penalty for getting caught with an ounce or less of marijuana and replace it with a fine. So instead of going to jail for 180 days and paying $1,000, a four-figure amount of money or higher, you would pay essentially a couple $100s and get a ticket, and you don't go to jail. You just get a ticket, right? So there's this guy, Representative Joe Moody. He's from El Paso. He wrote the bill, but now he's rewriting the bill so he could try to please a guy named Dan Patrick. Oh, Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick, here's the problem with Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick is one of these old school Republicans who thinks that, like, marijuana needs to be, like, plants are bad and dangerous and you need to be protected from something that grows out of the earth. And only the government, only the invisible hand of the government can protect you from this dangerous plant. That, I don't know if you guys have heard this or not, but marijuana will come, like, if a plant of marijuana is growing in your yard and you walk by it, the roots of the plant can actually reach up out of the dirt and grab onto your ankle and pull you down into the ground and rip off your eyelids. Did you know that, Chris? Yeah, because it's the devil's lettuce. That's true. No, that's not true. That's completely ridiculous. No, it's not. Well, it's not true that it'll rip your eyelids off. No, it is the devil's lettuce, according to guys like Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick is one of these guys who thinks that Republicans in 2019 still want to hear about gay marriage. Like, seriously. If Republicans still cared about gay marriage, do you think that Donald Trump would be the president? No, he would not be. If Republicans cared about banning gay marriage or banning marijuana, we probably wouldn't even have a Republican president right now. But far and away, the right half of the country moved in a different direction. Well, I think one of the things that really helped the Republican Party was, and some of you will dislike that I'm about to say this, but it's true, the legalization of gay marriage. When gay marriage was approved by the Supreme Court, which is certainly not how I would have done things, it caused a lot of people in the LGBT community to change their feelings about the Democrat Party. They had for years only supported the Democrats because of that one thing. But now that one thing didn't matter anymore. You could marry your lover. You could marry your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever it is you're married to, your plant or whatever. Last part's not true. But so enter Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. He is opposed to changing the state's pot laws, and he's been that way for quite some time. Governor Abbott, on the other hand, supports lessening the punishment, but not full decriminalization. So, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick hops on Twitter earlier today, and this is what he tweets out. He says, Criminal Justice Chair John Whitmire is right that HB 63 is dead in the Texas Senate. I join with those House Republicans who oppose this step towards legalization of marijuana. I am embarrassed by the fact that we live in a state where our lieutenant governor doesn't know the difference between decriminalization and legalization. Do you know the difference? Legalization implies that you could sell marijuana at Walmart tomorrow, and that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is that if somebody gets caught with marijuana, a small amount, not trafficking amount, like somebody, they don't have pounds of it, they have, an eighth of weed or whatever, less than an ounce, a few grams, whatever, that person doesn't have to go to jail for having it. Dan Patrick doesn't agree with that. Dan Patrick thinks you should go to jail. Dan Patrick thinks if you're in possession of a plant, you belong in prison. Prison? Wow. So Dan Patrick wants Willie Nelson to be locked up in jail? Yes! Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick thinks Willie Nelson belongs in jail. Did you get it? Did you get how ridiculous that is? Houston Young Republicans, thank God they're on the right side of this. On Twitter earlier today, they hopped on here and said, we encourage you to reconsider your position on this issue. If you are open to a meeting, we are happy to discuss the issue with you and explain why it is that Texas Young Republicans' priority and part of the Texas GOP platform. And he's right. They're right. Matt Wiltshire is right. Michael Anderson is right. The Young Republicans and Libertarians of Houston, Texas are certainly on the right side of this argument. They see the writing on the wall, guys. We can't say we're advocates for less government and lock people up for having a plant. And by the way, Republican voters in Texas overwhelmingly support legalization. Not a little bit, a lot. I saw a study earlier today that said 80% of Republican voters in the state of Texas don't agree that marijuana needs to be a criminal offense. Isn't that amazing? So I was wondering, well, what is it about Dan Patrick that makes him want marijuana to be illegal? Is there, follow the money trail, guys. Is there amount of money we could put behind this? Well, there is, as a matter of fact. There's a website you could go to called votesmart.org. Open Secrets is another great one. And what these do is they tell you who's giving money to your politician. Who's giving money to Dan Patrick? Dan Patrick's biggest donor by a lot. Oh, get ready for this, guys. Who do you think it's going to be? What do you think I'm going to say? You think I'm going to say the hunting industry? What do you think I'm about to say? Poultry and eggs? What, the credit unions? No, Chris, you got it right. Big Pharma, the pharmaceutical and health industry, is donating more money to Dan Patrick than any other industry combined. Don't get me wrong. Public sector unions, Farm Bureau, air transportation, livestock, they're donating to him too, but not like the pharmaceutical industry is at $97,500. That's a lot of money for a local politician. Wow. Gosh, that sounds almost like, what's that word? Rhymes with tribe, starts with a B. Bribe. That's a bribe. He's getting paid to support a policy that his constituents clearly don't want, guys. Come on, Dan Patrick. You got to be kidding me. What a disappointment this guy is. Dan Patrick. Seriously, Dan Patrick's going to go on TV tomorrow and he'll make some comment about gay people. He'll pretend he supports gun rights, but he doesn't. We all know what's going on right now with him and Dennis Bonnen. You know damn well what these guys are doing. Any gun rights people out there? Any constitutional carry guys hear my voice right now? You remember what you were mad about last week or last month? Oh, I know you remember. Guess what? Same guy behind this. The same guy that doesn't think you're responsible enough to carry around a gun without government paperwork, he's also the guy that thinks Willie Nelson belongs in jail. Willie Nelson belongs in jail. Who's another famous Texas person that smokes pot, Chris? I'm sure we could think, ZZ Top? I bet those guys have smoked a little weed. Yeah, Roger Kreger, how about him? Seriously. Beyonce and her friends, pick your favorite musician from Texas. Chances are they probably smoke some weed, and Dan Patrick wants them in prison. Isn't that amazing? That's your guy. There you go, Tea Party. There you go, folks. Libertarians, Republicans, conservatives, constitutionalists. We know how the left feels about this. The left doesn't think you have the right to have guns, but they seem to be on the right side of this argument. But conservatives get it. We really do. If you travel to CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee, they have it every year. One of the things people have noticed over the last decade, there's a lot of booths over there about legalizing marijuana. Even John Boehner is now finally on the right side of this argument. Remember Boehner? You remember that guy? The guy that would walk around the House of Congress crying and looking at old paintings? Even he understands. Even wacky old John Boehner. Dan Patrick doesn't realize this, but we're the people that elected him. You, your friends, you know damn well I'm telling the truth, guys. Dan Patrick wants to get reelected. He'd better start listening to his constituents and stop listening to crony lobbyists. Thanks for listening to Pursuit of Happiness Radio.
Listening to the Pursuit of Happiness Radio. Tell the government to kiss your ass.
Tell Dan Patrick to kiss your ass.
This show.